Welcome to part 2 of our Appery Building Your First Mobile App. So, as mentioned before, we're going to focus on adding native features. So the first native feature we're going to add is a button that we can click on, and it will display some information about the device and the Apache Cordova version we use. To do this, all we have to do is drag and drop a button. So we'll go over to the button over here. Scroll down, go to the button, click it from the control and bring it down to the footer. And we're going to change its text to device info. And in the property section of this same custom tab, we're going to make the uncheck the corners box, so it'll give the button square corners. And what we have to do now is select the button, so we'll click on it and then click the events tab over here. So click on the button, so it highlights. Up here it will show in our breadcrumbs mobile button 5, and then we'll click on events. Okay, and then so the button is selected, mobile button 5, the event is click, and the action we want to select is run JavaScript. Okay, by doing that, it allows us to cut and paste code from the instructions. So you see the cursors flashing over here. I'm going to go to the instructions on my other monitor. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find the JavaScript and just cut and paste it. So all I do is I highlight it. Oh, from here, highlight. Oops. Start from the top. Then Control C, I'll copy it, and then go to line 1 and Control V, paste it. And all we do is click Save. Okay, so the second feature we want to add is we want to show details when we click on an item. So whatever item's over here, basically, wait, let me close the events tab. When we have a list of items, when we click on it, we want to display some details about the item. To do this, what we have to do first is, let's see, go to warehouse database and open the goods collection. When we do that, we'll be able to add extra information about a certain item in the database. So I'm going to go up here to the menu, the database, and click on it. It's going to open the database. I'm going to close this and then open warehouse database. And the goods collection is open. We want to add another column, so this plus COL we're going to click, and the column's name is going to be quantity, QUANTITY, quantity. And for the type, we want, instead of string, we want number, because it's going to do a count. We create the column. Then the instructions require us to provide numerical values for the count of each item, or the quantity. So we'll do code drink 12, tea 3, and coffee 8. Okay, now we're going to verify that the collection structure has changed by going and looking at the REST service response. It should be changed too. So all we do is switch back to the Apri app builder and open the warehouse DB goods list service right here, warehouse DB goods list service. Click test on the test tab. And then we click test. As you can see, in addition to the items, there's a new column for our table. It's called quantity, and there's 8. Quantity for tea is 3. Cold drink quantity is 12. What the instructions ask us to do next is to import as response. This will automatically change the structure. As a service response created successfully. We can verify this by going to the response tab. And as you can see, there's item, but there's now also quantity. What the instructions ask us to do next is to experiment with the model and storage functionality of Apri.io. We're going to be using model and storage, and it says these features are really powerful for managing app data flow and local storage, and with local storage. So it uses local storage. All we do is go to model and storage. So we go to the left menu and then we expand project and we click on model and storage. And then we're going to just create the following models. So instead of maybe calling the database table each time, we'll create some models or storage variables to store the data. So we enter a new model item. It's going to be called item. We add. And then instead of adding another one up here, we're going to add to this. It's going to be a sub item. And it has a parameter, but we're going to delete that. We want it to be name. And the first one we want object for the type and then string. And then we want to create another one called quantity. So name and quantity. And quantity for the type, instead of string, it's going to be number. So we have object, string, and number, item, and then sub, and the name and quantity. We also want to create another model item called items underscore array. I'm going to add that. And instead of making it an object, we want to make it an array. And that will give us this items array with the brackets I, hard brackets and I. And we want to change this from string to item. So we have the types, we have array and items array, and items array with the hard brackets around the I. Okay. Now that we have our models set up, we go to storage tab and create local storage variables as follows. We want the first one to be item. We add it. we want to leave local storage, and we want to change this from string to item. And then we want to add a second one called items array, similar to the model. Items underscore array. Local storage, or add it first. And then we want it to be local storage and instead of string, items array. Okay, next what we have to do is use the apri.io mapping. And we're going to fill the created variables with data that the REST service returns. So all we do is we go to the start screen. And switch to the data tab. Click the mapping action. Let's see, we're going to expand this by clicking the arrow. We want success mapping of REST service 1. I'm going to expand all, making sure that service response is checked on the left and storage is checked on the right. So as you can see here, page is checked. We want to uncheck page and we want to check storage. So on the left we have service response and on the right we have storage. We expand all on both sides and we want to map the $sign with a hard bracket with the I in it to items underscore array with a hard bracket. Right here. We also want to map according to the instructions item to name and quantity to quantity. What this will do, it will fill the items array local storage variable with return data from our database. All we do is click save and return right here. And then I'm going to minimize that. What the instructions say is after doing that we're going to create another mapping action for success. For success mapping, we're going to go add. So we'll have two of these functionalities working at the same time, or one after the other rather. Okay, so we want to go to mapping. We're going to add a mapping, and then instead of service response, the instructions want storage checked up here and page checked on this side, so that's good. We expand all on both sides, and we want the items underscore array with the hard brackets to be connected to the mobile list item 3. And we want name to be connected to mobile list item 3 text. So what I think this is going to be doing is it's going to be returning the name data to the page when we create it, the next page that has additional information. Now it says to test the app. We're going to save and return. It says Click Save and Test. And what this does, it doesn't look like there's much change. It says it'll cyclically display the data contained in items array variable on the page via list component. You can now launch tab, and if everything was done correctly, you'll see the familiar list of items with only one difference. Now the data will be displayed from the local storage variable instead of direct REST service response. So what I think is what we did was we created a storage variable that stores information temporarily and then it populates the page rather than taking it straight from the database. So what we still have to do is we want to display the details of each item that we entered in the database on another page. So the coffee, was it coffee 12 or code drink 12, coffee 8, tea 3 or whatnot. We want that information on another page, and all we have to do is create the page and then hook it up. So we'll create a new page by going back to the app builder and just selecting create new page. We're going to call this page details, and then click create page. First we have to create the user interface for details. We want to select the header and type details for the text property. So we click on this, it highlights it. As you can see, this is the details page. The mobile header is selected in the breadcrumbs. We click text and type details. We also should check the back button. This will allow us to navigate the user to the previously visited page. Next, the instructions state to drag and drop two label components on the page as follows. So the label components, we just need two of them, one, and then drop a second one right below it, two. And then all we do is expand the events tab and add the following event. So expand the events tab. The component we want is details. We want, instead of load, we want page show. And mapping. So now we want to change from page, we want storage, and on this side we want page. So we have storage and page. We expand all on both sides. And we're going to just focus not on the items array, so I'm going to make that, close that. We're going to just focus on item name and quantity. We're going to map that to the two mobile labels, but because they're going to be text outputs, we're going to map them to the text selection. So we go name to text, quantity to text. Good. Name and quantity to text. Good. Now instead of just saving, the instructions want us to add some JavaScript to the quantity parameter. So we locate the quantity, we follow it, and then see how it says there's a JS right here? We want to open the JS editor. and it asks us to add code, which I'm going to get from the instructions. So one moment please. I'm going to highlight it. It's step 15 on the instructions. I'm going to copy it and then paste it. It basically says, whoops. It's going to be return quantity plus value. Click save right here. By doing that, the JS button here will become blue. It means that custom JavaScript code will be executed during the mapping. All we do is click save and return. Okay, we have two things left to do. We have to handle an item click and navigate to the details page. So to do this, go to the start screen. Click on the tab on the top, takes you to the start screen. And select the list item. So I'm going to minimize this. And I need to get out of here, go to design tab. So we want to move from the data to the design tab. And basically, we want to click on this item 1 button. We want to select the list item and create the following event. So to do that, we click the events tab up, and then the component is mobile list item 3. We want click. Instead of invoke service, we want run JavaScript. This allows us to enter code. We're going to cut and paste it from here. These are our two options, so I'm going to just select the first one. Control C. We're going to copy it and then Control V, paste it. Then we click save. Then we also add another event for the list item, mobile list item 3. Click, navigate to page, and then details. So it's mobile list item 3, click is the event, action is navigate to page, and page is details. So when you click, it's also going to navigate to that page. Details. We leave the other defaults and save. Okay, if we minimize the events and we click on the start screen, so we go up to the breadcrumbs, we click on the start screen, and we look at the events down here. Actually, if you want to show all, we click show all, and it shows that we have mobile button 5 event, which we added earlier, the 2 for the item 1, and the start screen, the page show that will invoke the service from the database. That's it. All we do is we save, and test the app. I'm going to click on the tab, and the app pops up. We click on coffee, and it shows Coffee quantity 8. We can go back. Tea quantity 3. Those are the quantities and the name that we entered in the database earlier. Code drink 12. Quantity 12. Go back. And then our device info works. Okay, so now let's verify. We're about to publish this app that we just created. Wait, let me minimize this. We're going to publish it as a mobile app, mobile web app. It's public. So to do this, it's quite simple. All we do is we make sure it's saved. That's important. And then we close the app. Then we have our warehouse app open. What we do on this main page is we scroll down and we take a look at hosting right here. So we want to set up a URL for our HTML5 mobile app. What Dr. Halverson has done is create a custom domain for us. So we can enter that in right here. I believe mine is m dot my username Davis KUR at or dot ITM 387e dot info. M Davis KUR dot ITM 387e dot info. Okay, so all we do is click publish and wait a little while. Now this usually pops up. If this doesn't pop up, as for me it has in the past, all you do is you click the refresh button up here and it should come up. So right now what this is doing is it's publishing the app, making it available on the custom domain that Dr. Halverson set up for each of us. Now, once you have this, you're done. Once this is set, you go back to your page and you take the URL and you can take a look at it. Okay, well, that's how to complete this assignment. Thank you for tuning in, and stop by and view the next video that we create. Thank you. Bye.